They dragged my baby away in handcuffs. 8 years old, I kept whispering. She's 8 years old. The officer looked embarrassed. My daughter was sobbing so hard she couldn't speak. Her wrists were red and raw from the cuffs. But my brother, Daniel, stood there smugly beside the patrol car like he had just won a prize. She stole the necklace, he lied with a smirk. It was my wife's. That little brat took it from our bedroom. I couldn't speak. I was frozen. Behind him, my parents stood silently in the driveway, watching, not defending her, not defending me. They didn't even flinch when my daughter screamed, "Mommy, please." Hi, everyone. My name is Selena Carter, and until that moment I believed my family was cruel, but not monstrous. I was wrong. It was supposed to be a family weekend at my parents' house. My daughter had simply gone upstairs to get her stuffed animal from the guest room. That's when the necklace went missing. Daniel and his wife had called the police behind my back. And when the officer asked if anyone could vouch for my daughter, my mother said, if she's anything like her mother, she probably did take it. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I sat alone in the precinct lobby until nearly 2 a.m. My daughter was locked in a room, interrogated, fingerprinted. No one offered her food. No one offered her comfort. And my family? They went home and slept. The necklace was found the next morning, in my brother's wife's purse. She claimed she forgot she had it. No apology. No shame. Just a smug. At least we cleared things up. They dropped the charges. But not the damage. My daughter hasn't spoken since. I took her straight to the hospital. The doctor's report listed trauma symptoms. I filed a formal complaint against the officers and the department. But that wasn't enough. I needed every one of them to feel the helplessness I felt watching my child dragged away like a criminal. That night, while my daughter slept curled up beside me, I opened my laptop and opened hell for them. I compiled every document, every voicemail, every screenshot from family group chats, my brother's unethical firm practices, my father's tax avoidance strategy, my mother's fake nonprofit. I wasn't going to scream or fight. I was going to let their own words end them. It would take precision, patience, and I had both. I started with my brother. He's a senior partner at a boutique firm that prides itself on ethical innovation. I found the old texts he sent bragging about how he used shell companies to hide assets from his ex-wife during the divorce. Screenshots, voicemails, all backed up. I emailed the entire packet, anonymously, to his firm's HR department and their regulatory compliance board. Then I turned to my mother's charity. She claimed it helped single mothers, while laundering donations through fake invoices written in my name. I still had access to the bookkeeping software. I exported the whole ledger. The numbers didn't lie, and neither would the email I sent to the IRS and every corporate donor who supported her. Next was my father. He ran cash-only consultancies after retirement. Claimed they were hobby projects. I sent their banking patterns to his CPA's office and to the state tax board, with his voice notes bragging about how to disappear money. By the end of that week, I'd planted every mine. Quietly. Legally. I didn't want revenge that screamed. I wanted silence, followed by implosions. And then, just 2 days later, the first one hit. My brother's firm suspended him. And that was just the beginning. My brother showed up at my apartment the next morning, banging on the door like a man possessed. "Open the door." "What the hell did you do?" he screamed. I watched from behind the peephole, calm, sipping tea. He didn't know I had security cameras now. I recorded everything, especially the moment he screamed, "You'll regret this. I'll take her away from you again." I forwarded that clip directly to my attorney. Then I texted him one sentence. "Threats are being documented. Stay away from my home." That same afternoon, my mom's charity was frozen. She texted the family group chat. "Someone hacked us. The donors are pulling out. It's a smear campaign." I almost laughed. By evening, I saw her on the news. Not in an interview. In a headline. "Local charity accused of tax fraud. Investigation launched." My dad was next. He received an official audit notice from the State Board of Equalization. According to my contact, his accountant dropped him within hours. All three of them were imploding, still clueless that I was behind it. But they'd gone too far, using a child to make a point. Now it was my turn to finish this. And I still had one last card to play. The next day, I went to the station and asked to speak to Officer Ramirez, the same cop who had dragged my daughter away. He walked in, smug, until he saw my lawyer sitting beside me and the court order in my hand. "I'm filing a complaint," I said coolly, "for unlawful detainment of a minor without parental presence, legal justification, or CPS approval." He blinked. You can't." "I can. And I already did." My lawyer cut in. "And we've uncovered that the warrant was based on falsified statements from your department, signed off under suspicious circumstances." He went pale. By the end of the week, Officer Ramirez was suspended pending internal investigation. My brother, who orchestrated the lie, was subpoenaed to testify. That's when I made the final move. I sent an anonymous tip to every media outlet my mother ever networked with. It included damning screenshots of private texts, fake donor records, and a financial trail that pointed directly to my parents and their shady dealings. By Friday evening, the top 3 news stations ran the story. Their photos were everywhere, not as a respected doctor, not as a philanthropic organizer, but as frauds. And yet, I still hadn't touched what hurt them most. That was coming next. The fallout came faster than I expected. My mother's Women of Excellence award was revoked the next day, live on television. Sponsors pulled out from her nonprofit. The university rescinded her honorary doctorate. I watched it all with quiet satisfaction as the empire she built on control and cruelty crumbled beneath her feet. My father tried to weather the storm, but the hospital board opened a misconduct inquiry based on the documents I released: tax fraud, patient fund misappropriation, and nepotism. He was suspended within 72 hours. And my brother? The golden boy. He was served a civil suit by my lawyer for psychological trauma and false police reporting that directly harmed a child. CPS interviewed him. Then they interviewed me and heard the real story from my daughter. She told them everything. And they believed her. My daughter was finally sleeping peacefully at night again. No more crying. No more nightmares. And I wasn't done yet. Because I still hadn't said a word to any of them. Not a text. Not a call. And that silence? It was eating them alive. So when I finally did break it, I chose my words carefully and made sure it would be the last thing they ever expected. I stood outside the courthouse, sunlight cutting across my face like a blade. That morning, I'd received a message from my brother, not to apologize, but to negotiate. He begged me to think of the family, to drop the lawsuit quietly, to not ruin their lives over a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? They put handcuffs on an 8-year-old. So, I did something I knew would haunt him forever. I agreed to meet, publicly. We met in the lobby of his firm's building. He looked thinner, paler, humbler. My mother and father sat behind him, watching me like cornered animals. "I'll withdraw the lawsuit," I said calmly, "if you sign a full confession, detailing everything. The false report, the manipulation, and most importantly, the truth about what you did to your niece." He blinked rapidly. "You want me to confess to the public?" "No," I said, placing the paper in front of him. "To your daughter. In writing." His pen shook as he signed. I tucked it into my bag, stood, and turned to go. But before I stepped away, I looked my mother dead in the eyes and whispered, "I'm only just getting started." Because I still had one final move. And it would crush them completely. The day of the school board hearing arrived. Dozens of parents filled the room, many unaware that their children had been harmed by the very people they trusted. I walked in silently, placed a thick folder on the table, and requested 5 minutes to speak. I revealed everything. How my brother, the district superintendent, had fabricated a report against my daughter. How my father, a police captain, had authorized the false arrest. And how my mother, the school counselor, helped cover it up. I read aloud the signed confession. Gasps. Murmurs. A few people stood up and walked out. Others sat frozen, faces drained of color. One board member, red-faced, shouted, "This is a bombshell. Why wasn't this investigated earlier?" I handed him the emails, the audio, the sworn testimony. I had been collecting it all for months. By the end of the week, my brother was suspended indefinitely. My father was forced into early retirement under investigation. My mother was stripped of her license. But none of that gave my daughter her innocence back. So I enrolled her in a new school, under her real name, not theirs. She smiled again that spring. That was